My name is Ruth and I am a communication specialist. I am also a bilateral cochlear implant user because I'm deaf in both of my ears. If you can see, my headphones are not over my ears, they are over my audio processors. So you can't see them because I have headphones on and it's a bit loud. So I need the headphones to hear them. So yeah, I'm also a disability and women's rights advocate. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's who I am.
Oh, that's very nice. So please, we want you to briefly share your experience as a deaf lady living in Nigeria.
Okay. Well, it's quite a lot. There are a lot of myths about deaf people, but honestly, so far I've had good and bad experiences. Um, it's been it's been a journey. So I am late deaf, so I didn't grow up deaf, so I can't really say about like the other half of my life. But I lost my hearing at 20, and so I would basically say that it's hard, but if you try to put yourself out there, you would find people that what's the word? Find people that would accept you and motivate you. People I've had help from like communities, like different communities, from different disability clusters. So it's been an amazing journey. It's been a difficult one. It's one where you have to prove yourself over and over again because of the myths about like being deaf and all that. So yeah, that's life living in Nigeria as a deaf woman.
So please, we want to know what cochlear implant is because I am very sure a lot of our viewers are hearing this for the very first time, and especially in the African context, it's so unusual. So we want you to tell us what cochlear implant is and who can use it.
Okay, cochlear implants are basically a device that helps people with so people who can use a cochlear implant are people with severe to profound hearing loss. So it's basically a device that has two parts. It has the internal processor, which is surgically implanted underneath your scalp, and we also have the external processor, which is okay. Give me a second. So this is it. Yeah, I have two of them. I have one on each side, but I currently don't have the second one. It's off in Australia for repair. So it basically takes in, so the external part is called an audio processor. So it basically takes in sound and sends it to your brain. It just tricks your brain to think that you can hear. But in reality, I don't hear from my ears. I hear from the devices at the back of my head. That's why the headphone is on the device and not on my ear. So it helps deaf people to hear, to regain sound, to have a sense of sound. The internal processor goes, there's internal call that basically goes into your cochlea and then it stimulates your hearing nerve, and that is how you hear. So from the external processor to the internal process to the internal implant, and then that's how you hear. So it's for deaf people with severe to profound hearing loss, and it's
That
severe from
means
hearing aids.
okay. So that means people who are completely deaf cannot use it.
Oh, I am completely deaf, so I can use it. So if you have sensory neural hearing loss, there are different types of hearing loss. We have conductive hearing loss, we have sensory neural hearing loss. I have sensory neural hearing loss, so that is why I use a cochlear implant. Profound to severe hearing loss just basically means that you can no longer benefit. You usually can no longer benefit from hearing aids, and that is when you go for cochlear implants. That's when cochlear implants are very suggested. We take cochlear implants. Well, yeah, without that, you can use hearing aids. Hearing aids amplify sound, but then you get to a point where your hearing loss is very severe or profound that you would have to need, yeah, you would have to give the surgery. So yes.
So, how did you feel the first time where you were told that you will need a cochlear implant?
Okay, so it was a lot. It was a lot. So I traveled for brain surgery. I traveled to India for brain surgery, and I was going to get more powerful hearing aids because my hearing aids were no longer. I was no longer benefiting from my hearing aids. My hearing loss was getting too serious for my hearing loss. So I was no longer benefiting from my hearing aids, and I thought that when I traveled to India, I was just going to get like better hearing aids, and everything was getting fine. So when I traveled, I got better hearing aids, but I was still not benefiting from those hearing aids. And then I used them for a while, and then my surgeon was like, okay, I think we should try cochlear implants. You know what cochlear implants are? I didn't really know what they were at that point, but then I did my research. They told me about it, and yeah, we then decided to. Then you have to take tests to make sure that you can benefit from cochlear implants, or if you're eligible for cochlear implants, because if you just give anyone cochlear implants, and then we did those tests, and I had the surgery. It was a lot to take in. I feel like I didn't really have so much time to prepare for it because I wasn't in my country, and I was just on a 3 months visa, and also I think 6 month visa, so it had to be a bit fast and all that.
Do you really feel integrated into the deaf community despite you using the cochlear implant?
Okay, so this is a very this is a very complicated question. So there are people in the deaf community who do not approve of hearing aids and cochlear implants, and there are people who are in the deaf community um, who agree with them. And honestly, in my own experience, my deaf community here in Abuja have been amazing. They are always willing to teach me new signs. They didn't have any problems with the fact that I had cochlear implants when I was joining them because I already had my cochlear implants before I joined them. Didn't have any issue with that. They are always willing to teach me signs. Whenever there are like opportunities for advocacy, they always call me for it. So I feel like we can work our way around it. I'm learning Nigerian sign language as well. So I know bits and pieces of just basic sign language. But yeah, I don't think being having cochlear implants or hearing aids really takes away your deafness. It doesn't make you any less deaf. And all there are people who sign even with cochlear implants and hearing aids. And yes, so I feel really integrated with the community. I don't have any problems with my deaf community. It's been amazing.
Can you please share those common myths, misunderstanding people have about cochlear implants, especially in the African context in Nigeria?
Okay. So I'll start off by saying that a lot of people do not even know what cochlear implants are, and they have not even heard of cochlear implants. So, before we even go into the myths about cochlear implants or the misunderstandings, they even have to know what a cochlear implant is in the first place. People always say, "Oh, what's that on your head? What's that on your head?" Or they get pissed off when I tell them why I can't hear, and people even saying I'm lying, that I'm not deaf since I can hear them. So, but then the amongst people who know what cochlear implants are, or people who have educated them about cochlear implants, a lot of people think that cochlear implants cure deafness. It doesn't cure deafness. Once I take off my audio processors, I am completely deaf. I can't hear anything. So it doesn't cure deafness. It still doesn't bring you to the same level as a hearing person, because hearing doesn't equal understanding. Sometimes I would hear something. It's not about my hearing it, I can hear it, but then it takes my brain a few seconds to process what is being said, and sometimes the brain doesn't want to process what is being said. You have to repeat yourself or probably rephrase what you are telling me. Another thing is that people also think that, oh, when you have cochlear implants, you cannot identify within their community, or you can sign or things like that. That is also another myth. But I am learning basic sign language. I'm learning sign language, and I know the basics. You can sign and have cochlear implants. You can have cochlear implants and also be one with your deaf community. It depends on. It's just from my experience. People have different experiences. The lesson I also advice people think that cochlear implants are accessible. They're like, oh, God, yeah, you can always get cochlear implants. They're not. They're not. They are very expensive. And for someone like me who lives in the third world country, it's very difficult to get to them, but they're very expensive. They go into millions and millions of naira. For a country that our minimum wage is for like 17,000 naira, also it's not accessible. So people think, well, if I just get hearing aids, if I just get online plans, something like that, it's a lot of money, so it's not accessible, and there's usually no help from the government. So
Amazing. We all know that disability is it's a whole lot of garbages, but like we would also want to know: are there any positive side of being deaf? Like any fun facts of being a deaf person that you would want to share with us?
oh yes, there are a lot, but I will just talk about a few. So if you've noticed, I've always mentioned community, community, community. Um, I have friends. I'm someone who loves people. I have friends, but I'm going to tell you that it's a different feeling when you know someone who goes through the same thing as you. It's like, let's say, for example, you fail a test and, you're feeling bad that you failed the test, and then your friend fails the test. And then immediately you're happy that you have someone that failed the test with you. So the community is beautiful. I have met so many amazing people. I've been able, and previous communities, I've also gotten so many amazing opportunities from being in the community. So community is positive side of one of the positive side of being deaf. Another thing is that none of you sleep better than a deaf person, just so you know. When I take my processor off, it's back to complete silence. So I sleep very, very peacefully. Where I sleep very peacefully. So I don't know if that counts, but yes, it's very peaceful when you sleep because you can't hear anything. Another thing is that you decide when you want to hear. You I can take off my processors whenever I want. There's something called hearing fatigue, so you get tired of hearing. And then the advantages is that you can decide not to hear, when to hear, and when not to hear. And yeah, another positive side for me personally is that it made me understand marginalized groups. And I was very carefree. I know I'm not saying you don't have to be there for you to care about marginalized groups, but then I feel like in my experience, when I became deaf and I started to see that, oh, this is how these people have to live their lives without accessibility and things like that, without the world turning their backs on them, the world being a place where deaf people are always focused, they're always the last people to think of. Even when they are interpreters, there are no what's it called? There are no that's the airport. There are no written captions like when they are making announcements at the airports and things like that. So it really made me come in touch with my humanity and I started to see the problems that are in society, and it has helped me do more and advocate for people like me. And yes, so yeah, it gives you it gave me sort of a sense or of purpose, something to do. Like there's how do I better explain it? I feel that I have a duty to deaf people. I have a duty to marginalized people to be able to live better lives and improve their standard of living through accessibility, inclusion, and equality and equity. So yes, that's that.
So that is so amazing. And another
Thank
thing
you.
we would want to know is, can you please share few challenges you face as a deaf lady who is a professional in media and communication?
I think one of the biggest one is inaccessibility. Let's say in meetings, there are no live captions because I'm not fluent in sign language, so I can use an interpreter. So in meetings, there are usually no like live captions. The sitting positions during meeting is not deaf friendly, so that I'll be able to read lips even if I can't hear. And yes, so that's if you are even employed in the media space. Um, we do have like disadvantages and all, but then um, one of the biggest problem is even to even get a job in the first place. A lot of people undermine what you can do. You have to like work probably 3 times as hard as your colleagues to be able to prove yourself that, oh, I am a person with disability, but I can do this, I can do that, or how can you be deaf and work in communications and things like that. There's sort of doubts and things like that. So first off, you hardly even get employed or get gigs to be able to work. People do not believe in you. That thing is like the inaccessibility, like I mentioned earlier. You go for a conference, there are no live captions. They're trying to speak to people in person. There's also the discrimination and the ableism. I There was something that happened a few months back. I was in a meeting the someone the person was speaking. I didn't get what they said, and I was like, oh, can you repeat yourself? And they said something like, and I was trying so hard to listen. They said something like, oh, you should try to pay attention more. Like, it's not like that. We try to we even listen harder than if you have an assistive device. You even try to listen harder than an average hearing person, because like I said earlier, hearing doesn't equal understanding. So it's very difficult for you to hear. So for you to see something like that, it's a bit weird, because I'm literally trying my best. I have an assistive device, and it doesn't make me a hearing person. I'm still a deaf person. I just have assistance to hear, so it's not perfect. So there are lots of things that ableist comments, or just comments that people make sometimes when you want to take a break from hearing, and someone is like, "Oh, put your ears back on, put your cochlear implants back on. I want to speak to you." So there are lots of disadvantages, and there are lots of challenges that I face as a professional in the communication world. So yes.
It's really been like a learning process. I've really learned a lot. I'm not new, but I'm just learning a lot now. So what message would you like to tell young deaf ladies and their parents that are watching this episode now?
Okay, so my advice would be to first off, please don't hide your child. Your child is deaf, it's not the end of the world. It's going to be difficult, but please don't hide your daughters. Don't hide those girls. A lot of people, when their child acquires a disability, or when their child has a disability, they end up hiding those children, and that is the first mistake you're making. You're supposed to be teaching your child to be bold and confident in who they are. If you're hiding them, you're not doing yourself any good. You're not going to be there forever to keep them in that shell, and they can be in that shell forever. So let them free. Let them decide if they want to have cochlear implants, if they want to use hearing aids, if they need to learn sign language, if they need to go for speech therapy, whatever it is that they need to be more productive members of society, or be active members of society, for them to be integrated in society. Let them connect to their deaf community. Whatever it is, just make sure that you are not hiding your child, and your child is having a beautiful like experience and life going on. And also, like I said earlier, the community is very important. Let them have their deaf friends, let them learn that sign language. If they do not want that device, please let them be. If they do not want cochlear implants, they don't want hearing aids, if they feel like taking it off, let them take it off. And another thing is that your deafness doesn't stop you from doing anything. I was studying mass communication, publications, advertising, publications, advertising, and marketing major when I started to lose my hearing for some reason, and I'm still in the communication field. I work as a communication specialist. Being deaf is not going to stop you from doing anything. If you want to, even if you want to learn to become a musician, it's not going to stop you from becoming a musician. If you want to become a DJ or whatever related to sound, it doesn't stop you from doing anything. It can be the best version of yourself. Your disability does not limit you to do anything. Yes, we know that the world is not built for people with disabilities, but that is why people like me are here to make sure that we have accessibility, inclusion, and we make sure that the world continues to become a better place. But that shouldn't stop you from striving and also advocating for yourself, and if possible for others as well. So yeah, that's what I say.